try and keep the session as fluent as possible. Try and minimise the breaks. I mean, literally a few seconds for them to pick up some water and come back in. Know everybody's name. I can't stress how important it is for the members to feel that you care about them. And frankly, you try and get the other members to care about each other, but this is our opportunity to make sure that we're as sycophantic and as positive to every single person we can be. And make sure you care for everyone. So one element warm-up. We're looking for consistency and continuity through every session. So we're trying to get the same warm-up at every location, at every session. And this gives the members an opportunity to learn the warm-up, to do it each week, to get to know each other, and they get 5 or 10 minutes to talk to each other before we then move into the dynamic session. So the layout of the warm-up is 12 steps wide, 30 steps long. And every 5 steps I put down a cone. So then the actual warm-up, we do a very simple run, a dynamic stretch and an isometric stretch. So we jog through the grid and then round the edge and back in at 50%. Then you go through a dynamic stretch. So for example, a side squat where you're going sideways, deep squat, a couple of steps, squat again. Then you come back in and then we do a hamstring stretch, which is the isometric one. So just bouncing into a hamstring and maybe accelerating off. And then the other leg and so on. Then we come back in. So you've done your run, you've done your dynamic stretch, you've done your isometric. When you get back in, we then go back into a run, but we build it from 50% sprint to a 60% sprint. Round the edge, jog gently in. When you get in, a new dynamic stretch. So this one could be facing sideways, twisting, bouncing. And then we come back in, a new isometric stretch. So this one might be a quad stretch, followed by a small acceleration, and then the other leg. Then you come back in, you go back into your run. So you're now 80%, so beg your pardon, 70% sprint. We need a dynamic exercise, so maybe a walking lunge with a stretch. So first off, just stretching the hips each side, and then maybe you go into a lunge with a twist. So lunging and rotating. And then further forward, you're going lunge and lift. Back in, another isometric exercise. So this time you might do not entirely isometric, but maybe a high kick. So just stretching the hamstrings off and kicking back to get the hip flexors, and so on. Around the edge, back in. We're now into 80%. See, 80% sprint through, new dynamic stretch. This time maybe side squats the other way, or twisting the other way, or changing directions. Back in, new isometric exercise. So this is high knee over a hurdle, for example. A couple of steps other leg. So just trying, not necessarily isometric, but just taking it a bit more gently. Come back in, 90% sprint. Back in. This time another dynamic stretch. So this time maybe changing direction. So I'm explosive one way, explosive the other. Trying to really get the energy up for the group now. Trying to maybe push them so they can't talk quite so much. Back in, another isometric exercise. This one could be, again, actually we'll go back into a sprint. So build the sprint up to 100% sprints here, and then finish with the last rotational exercise, and so on. So you really need to get the whole body working, building in intensity, 3 or 4 sprints at the end. This whole warm-up should last about 12 minutes every single time. Then we come off, we circle the group up, we dynamic exercise, so just rotating the hips and the twisting the upper body, getting low. And as you're doing that, you then come up and ask everyone to go around their names, so shouting their names out, so even the new people get to know each other. And then we go into a very brief description of this week's session, and I'll be explaining each of those going forward. This session has been designed and developed by top sports teams. It is a session for rugby sevens players. That means that they can maintain their fitness even when they're no longer doing tournaments. So if they, for example, have been knocked out of a tournament, or they don't have a tournament one week, this is the type of session that we do. It's designed to maintain fitness. It's got some great creativity and thought put into it, and it will leave you feeling hugely positive.
Here we have the AR-AMP power sprint set. So what I'm going to ask is for 2 people to come up. George and Jules, can you come up? Danny, can I get you in over there? These guys are going to do 5 burpees, 5 crunches, and then 5 squat jumps, and they're going to sprint to the 20-meter cone back in. Now, those two, Danny and Jules, are competing against George and I. So we're trying to be competitive. We're trying to get our person working as fast as they can. When our partner gets in, and only when our partner gets in, can we go into 5 burpees, 5 crunches, 5 squat jumps. We're working for 5 minutes. The group who finished the most sets wins. Okay, so ready, go. Just do 2 burpees, guys, as opposed to 5 for demonstration's sake. That's good. 2 crunches. So they would normally do 5, but 2 for sec. And squat jumps, 2, 1, 2, sprinting. That's good. So you've got your stopwatch out, you've started it, and back in. And then Danny and I will go straight into burpees. We would do 5, but for the sake of this set, we'll just do a couple. And then crunches, and then squat jumps. And then we swap it back in. Do as many sets as you can in 5 minutes. Stop. Okay, so this is the Watmore Pyramid Shuttle Run. We're going to get, again, in pairs, forwards up, backs in just behind. A really, really tough cardio set this. The front person is going to sprint first cone back in, second cone back in, third cone back in as hard as they can, as fast as they can physically go. When they're finished, the backs then go exactly the same. First cone back in, second cone back in, third cone. Bear in mind, these are long cones, they're not the 5, 10, 15. We're looking at 10, 20, 40 meters. When the second person has finished his set, then the first person goes back into it, but does it twice. So they go first cone back in, second cone back in, second cone back in, third cone back in, third cone back in. They can do it in whichever order they like, but they've got to do each cone twice. Then the backs do exactly the same, and then the forwards will do it 3 times. So each cone 3 times, and then the backs do it 3 times. Again, try and make it a bit competitive, a bit fun. Just for today's demonstration, we're just going to get these guys to do 1 rep. Okay, so George and Danny up on the front line. You're going to go first cone back in, second cone back in, third cone back in. Go, hard as you can, please. First cone back in, that's good. Now, when they're finished, I would get everyone in mine and Jules's line to start at the same time. Otherwise, you get people who are really behind and it can become a bit awkward. So, get them. Keep going, Danny. So when they come in, first person through the line, set off the whole of the backs. Watmore Pyramid Shuttle, we talked about doing first cone, second cone, third cone, 1 rep on each, and then 2 reps on each, and then 3 reps on each. But importantly, we've got to come back again doing 2 reps and 1 rep before we finish. Okay, so this is the sprints, the Watmore sprints. They're 50 meters, 10 seconds. In fact, it's more than 50 meters, but you need to do 1 rep every 10 seconds. That's absolutely key. You get the first line up, have cones in their hands. The second line up do not have cones, but they're going to be competing against the people who do have cones. So on go, these guys at the front have 10 seconds to get to the 50-meter cone, turn around, come back in as far as they can. When they've done 10 seconds, I'm going to shout stop. They walk back to their point and put the marker down. You need to be very clear about this very quickly because people don't like standing around at these sets. Right, we'll give that a go, and then on 30 seconds, Jules and I will be doing the same thing and trying to get past the cones set out by these two. We'll do this whole set, I think, 10 times. On the line, go! Let's go 50-meter cone and back in. Good, Danny. It's good. So us as partners, we're talking our mate up. 8, 9, stop! Back to where you marked it and put the cone down. Now we've got another 15 seconds of nerve jangling tension. We really want the forwards to get out of the grid if they can. So then we've got a clear line to try and beat the people on our time. And on 30 seconds, I say go, and Jules and I will try and beat it. Go! Wait! And stop! And then walk it in, and we go again on 0. So this is the core wrestling set, and we use it quite a lot at the end of sessions. It's a great filler for sessions if you're a bit short on exercise but long on time. So opposite your partner, one person goes hands out and palms together. We'll get Danny doing this in this situation, and Jules. The person on the other person puts their hands on the outside and just cups this person's hands. Now the person in the middle, Danny, he's going to push left to his left, and I am on the outside. I'm going to try and hold him in the middle. Feet shoulder width apart, core strong for 10 seconds. Go! So he just increases that pressure, and it's just working my core, working his core, just creating some strength in the center of the spine and the stomach. I'm pulling the pelvic floor high. So we do that for 10 seconds and then rest. And then we push the other way again for 10 seconds. Ready, go. So he just pushes. That's good. Really bulletproof stomach at this point. Solid legs. If you're finding it too easy, you can bring the legs closer together. Too hard, bring them wider, and so on. And rest. Next one is you push up. So I hold him and he pushes up, and I just hold him down. That's good. And then he pushes down and I just hold him up if I can. And again, try not to lean, try not to bend the arms, try and keep the arms straight. Really good core strength, and rest. Next exercise is we just tip forward, and you try and keep this moving as quickly as possible. Hands on shoulders, getting low, and Danny's trying to push me back over a cone, I'm trying to push him back. Maybe make it competitive, so the loser has to buy the winner a cup of coffee. It's good, Danny. So he gets me over the line, that's brilliant. Back in, this time we go into a right arm wrestle. So we drop down, and we've got to keep the body off the ground, the hips off the ground, right arm wrestle, and go. And just, Danny's just really strong, but today it's my turn. Back on your toes, and the other person, my hands are in the middle this time, Danny's on the outside. I changed the movement, so I'm going down and left this time. Danny's trying to hold me in the center. That's good. You can see those guys are working much harder. That's good. And then rest, down and right. Arms straight, please, Julesy. That's good. And then up and left. That's great. And then up and right if you can. That's good. And then the next exercise, those would all be 10 seconds. So try and drag this out a bit. Grab the guy's forearms. He grabs your forearms. And I'm trying to pull Danny back over the next cone behind me. He's trying to pull me that way. Again, make it competitive. Let's try and win this. That's it. And then we come back in, we go into a left arm wrestle to finish. It's a fun, playful core set, really good on the body. So we've come to the end of the session. We're looking to do a cool down or a stretch. A cool down, you might want to do a reverse shuttle run, so you go 100% to the longest cone and then decrease in energy as you come down. Then we're hit about 55 minutes of the session. We've got a 5-minute stretch. Frankly, it doesn't have to be that good. You can explain to the members while you're stretching that actually isometric stretches are best done when their muscles are cold. I tend to just do, particularly in the winter when the ground's wet and cold, I do a quick salutation to the sun, or slow salutation to the sun, with a few extra stretches pushed in. You can do any stretch you like, but it needn't be more than about 5 minutes. As I'm going through it, I'll go through it now, but as I'm going through it, I also talk to the members about events coming up and about various things that have been good about the session, that sort of thing. So I tend to ask them to legs wide, roll forward, forehead touches the grass. Obviously, you can't get anywhere near the grass, especially if you're as inflexible as I am. Then hands hit the ground, feet go back, hips go high, chin goes low. Stretch that and hold that for longer than I'm going to do it, but not too long. Then hips go high, chin high. That's good. Then I go hips high again and just walk it back until I'm hanging again between the legs. And I look to go wide and stretching the adductor out. And if you can push them low on that one, even better. If they're struggling with this, on one knee, leg out to the side. Then I come into the middle and the other side. All the time I'm talking to them about events coming up, what's going on at training, who's done particularly well during the session. And maybe I'll do a glute stretch as well, so bring the knee across to one hand and just drop into a glute stretch. Then the other leg, and so on. After I've done both of those, I might look into an adductor stretch, so into a one kneeling side, push the hip forward, kneeling side, hand high,
and rotate away from that back leg. And again, holding for 30 seconds or so. While I'm in this position, I might go into a hamstring stretch. So that's pretty much it. Maybe finishing with a quad stretch. And I always end the sessions with getting the members as a whole group to face the sun, put their hands on the back of the head, shut the eyes, 3 or 4 long, slow, mindful breaths, just trying to bring them back into the moment, trying to take the energy, the heart rate down a bit. And then we stop, if we can get them to clap, and then head home. So hopefully it's feeling really positive at the end of the session.